Okay, like I normally do with my nice coffee, I always start off my Facebook Live saying God is good all the time. Once again, I repeat that. God is good all the time. Now, yesterday, the Virginia Beach City Council decided to vote 11-0 to remove the Confederate monuments from city property. Now, one thing I could say throughout this whole meeting or whatever, it was already set up for this to happen. That vote was nothing more than a formality. So every decision that now comes out of our lawmakers, our current ones, unless we get rid of them because they need to be term limited or they just too old to get the job done, whatever it may be. But the fact of the matter is, we should not be legislating. We should not be governing over temper tantrums. And what happened yesterday is exactly the example that they are setting across America, that violence and riots will lead to policy change. The fact is, our ancestors would be rolling all over the grave. Those who died for this country would be rolling all over this grave. Those who fought in the civil rights movement for nonviolence would be rolling in their grave to know exactly what this world has become. I thought maybe Seattle was Seattle, maybe Oregon was Oregon, Minnesota was Minnesota, whatever it may be. But I never thought Virginia would be also as cowardly as the rest. I watched 11 people vote off of fear, not vote based on leadership. The fact is, we've been taught this growing up for the longest kind of time, that you don't give a cookie and then expect for the same person who you gave that cookie to not to ask for a glass of milk. And then after you give them the glass of milk, they are asking for everything that you have. Because at that time period, they feel this is the way to go ahead and get you to do exactly what they want you to do. That's what it equals. So Democratic backed and funded riots basically produce policy change and destroy history. That's what America has came up to. And sorry, I didn't see other politicians there, but I did see Jerome Bell there still fighting. I did see fellow patriots there still fighting. But the fact of the matter is, this was kind of like last minute when I even found out, but I still showed up because it was about love of country, love of our history, and love of America, and love for my city, to the point to say exactly, we do not give out white flags of surrender to those who terrorize our community and then say, hey, this is what you get for us to stop. And guess what? The terrorism is still going on. If you don't believe it, look at Richmond. See, that's the problem right now. See, those who was up there, they don't have to fight anymore, but they campaigning and acting like they can fight. But when the situation is really there for a fight, they ain't nowhere to be found because they so busy living in fear of what the consequences is of that fight. But they want other people to do it. That's the problem. So me, I'm a history buff. I grew up on history, always made A's in history because I love history. That's just a fact. So I'm going to take it personal. But the fact is, one of the things I always believed in was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream. And the fact is that we can still achieve policy success. We can still achieve what we want to achieve through protest that's peaceful, never through protest that leads to violence and more violence. And then the people to take the consequences are those who have businesses and those who believe in what America was. Because right now, today, America is living in fear, and so is the lawmakers. See, yesterday was a sign that we have to take back over our city government and put in patriots that does not legislate to fear, but legislate to no emotion, but focuses on the issue and the long-term effects. The fact is, other politicians put fuel to the fire, and we could have won this whole situation based off of what America is about. It's about our freedoms, our ability to express ourselves and to honor who we want to honor, regardless whether you find that person repulsive or offensive, whatever may have you to think whatever kind of way. They got their statues, so you earn your statues and you honor that. What's next? They're going to be going after gravestones because they're going to say, hey, we should not even have a grave marker for those who are out there in the cemetery that can't fight back, but they are taking everything away. So what is left? You start going after everything since you got the full glass of milk and you know exactly you can get more from it. See, one of the things about the Constitution, and I think all of our lawmakers, even to the Supreme Court, has forgotten that we do not make any particular race more superior than the other. That's exactly what discrimination is. That's exactly what racism is. That's exactly what caused us to have the problems that we have in the first place. And now they put it on steroids so it could go into overdrive. See, it doesn't matter if you're black, it doesn't matter if you're white, doesn't matter if you're blue or whatever. The fact of what matters is the fact that we are looking for safety and to make sure our kids have a world that they can believe in and that we know that America and its lawmakers would do their best to protect them, not to enslave them. And that's what we have going on here in America. That's why they're trying to erase the history, because they don't want you to remember every single thing it took for slavery to happen, but they want you to forget everything so they can enslave you by the mind and by your own physicality. Because after a while, it's going to be done by force. Right now, you're living in what you consider minus security, minus protection, minus any kind of courage, minus anything that America used to stand for. Now America is basically being taken over by leftist groups that don't care anything about anyone else's welfare except for their own agenda. That's just what it boils down to. These statues is more than that to them. That's just part of it, taking away the symbols. The churches ain't nothing to them. That's part of it. The whole part is to get you to force and be accepting to exactly what they want you to believe. That's slavery. That's what slavery is. To force and to make sure that you do exactly what you're told. And if you don't, then violence comes to you. See, that's why I believe in 2A and the right to defend yourself even more now than ever. Because exactly this is what they're saying. Violence on violence will equal up to public policy. And we don't care about the bodies out there that lost their life in the way. That's just part of the sacrifice. See, I ain't that stupid. I wasn't brought up that way. I was brought up exactly you earn every single thing you get. You do not have temper tantrums. You do not burn down your house. You do not burn down your country because there's consequences for that. But the fact is, when it isn't no consequences and when you are freely allowed to do this, and while policymakers and Democrats decide to promote it, the fact is our country can't be safe. Our businesses can't be safe. So guess where they're going to go to? They're going to go where they feel like they can still make a living, because you can't make a living in Virginia given the lawmakers of today. That's the truth of the matter. And we don't have those patriots like me and the rest of them that's out there that's saying exactly, we ain't going to govern like this. We are not going to sacrifice our country for criminals. If you want change, you be at the table for change. If you want change, you be through the due process of change. If you want change, you march peacefully and protest and have a policy and a plan. Right now, their policy and plan is chaos. And chaos even has pattern, and the pattern is clear. We will kill, destroy, steal, do whatever we need to do to make you do what we want you to do. And that doesn't work in the Rutledge administration. It doesn't work for America. It doesn't work for the people who bust their ass every single day. They ain't out there burning down buildings and destroying people's property and basically raping and murdering and doing all this crap. They ain't doing that because they believe in accountability and responsibility, and they believe in being a law-abiding citizen, because they have to be that way so they know that others that come before them know exactly what it means to work hard for everything, what it means to earn everything, and what it means to successfully get the job done but not as a sacrifice to your neighbor. See, I'm pissed off today because I watched fear. Each and every single person, when I was up there, I looked at them face to face because I said my speech is going to be one of conviction. I'm going to make sure it hits you right in the gut because that's exactly what you're doing to America. That's what you're doing to Virginia Beach. That's what you're doing all across this country. Y'all get hit in the gut and kneeing down, and y'all don't even have a chance to get back up because you're too scared of what the consequences may be. But for those you send out to war, for those police that you send out there to clean up your mess, and the rest of them, they're sacrificing at the cowards of leadership. That's what they're doing. And that's why the morale is down, because they are basically saying, what is a jail for? What is a prison for? What is accountability for? If you're not holding them accountable, how can you hold us accountable? Where's the freedom and where is the tolerance of actual public policy today? And it's in the garbage can and it's in the toilet. Richmond has came to Virginia Beach, and guess what? We're going to get the same type of response for their response. See, we are losing everything about America. We are on lockdown. They're trying to force mandatory vaccines. They're closing the schools, closing the churches, record levels of unemployment, businesses destroyed, and they're saying, well, your insurance should cover it, but they got paid those high rates, and those high rates are also part of the reason why they got closed down another business, taken away from hard working Americans and their families that use these jobs to go ahead and make a living and to survive on. They can't live on unemployment forever. And the fact is of the matter, they are already looking at the long-term consequence of this whole matter. See, law-abiding citizens outnumber what is going on with the riffraff. These are kids under 30 saying, we're going to do whatever we want to. This is nothing more than the extortion and the blackmail and the hypocrisy of a message that has long been hijacked way before now, and people are so misinformed and miseducated. That's why we need the schools. That's why we need to make sure police have more funding, because we are dealing with a pandemic of not coronavirus. We are dealing with a pandemic of scared lawmakers. That's what we are dealing with. And today, I wake up to seeing that our freedoms once again has been infringed upon by the very government that people continue to elect and donate funds to. And they are not there to go ahead and fight the battles that you thought that you funded. But the fact of the matter is they happy with the money they get. Like Amanda Chase said, I'll take money from anybody. That's the problem. That's the problem. Too many of these lawmakers taking money from anybody to the point they are puppets to the special interest groups, but no longer acting in the best interest of Virginia citizens. See, if you want to keep living like this, if you are a business in Virginia and you want this to be the new normal, then inspect your business and inspect your house to be burnt down. And don't complain about it, because that's exactly what you've been being told. That's exactly what you see every time from the TV. One of the speakers who spoke on behalf of BLM at this very meeting, we was outside talking. And he said, you know what? The reason why I'm speaking on behalf of BLM, because my brother out there in California, I saw the riots. I saw what happened back in the day and stuff like that. I'm scared. I'm worried about if we don't give them what they want, then I have family that, they're in the middle of this and they don't have nothing to do with it. But if this helps stops the problem, I say, you know what? It ain't going to stop the problem. All it's going to do is fuel the problem. We got to get America back, and we got to get law and order back. But we need to educate those that this is not the way. But we also need to understand that the way they are doing things, we should not make that mistake in voting in those who exercise the power that we thought protect and uphold the Constitution. Because part of that is the fact that you do not make supremacy in one direction to take over supremacy in another direction. All it is a different form of slavery, but the color of the skin has changed. But the fact of the matter is the blood that runs through America has. See, too bad they spend more time putting in coronavirus into those nursing homes and more because they're killing off the history even then. You know, we wouldn't have stood for this. Those in those nursing homes and all over the place wouldn't have stood for this. But they have gotten too old now. This is our America that we have to fight back for. And we can either give it up and we can put the same thing that has given up before, or we can actually show America that we lead. And realistically, it's going to take law-abiding citizens to wake up from the nice little myth that they give you in campaign pamphlets. Because, see, the problem isn't with BLM. The problem is with our lawmakers. Because our lawmakers could have stomped this out a long time ago and got us back to the point of knowing that we protect law-abiding citizens, not protect the criminals. But the fact is, they are not criminals, but the fact of the matter is they are learning, even if they are a part of peaceful protest, that riots and violence is the way to get change if this is necessary. See, it's more than removing the Confederate monument that happened yesterday. It was removing the fact of a piece of America that no longer negotiated with terrorists. It's more to a message than just a relocation or a removal of a statue. It's about exactly what we are all about when what people have fought for, blood, sweat, and tears. It's about your story, my story, everybody's story, exactly the way we came up for our families to know exactly what it takes to survive. We are losing it. So when I understand that so many people come back to me and says exactly, I'm just worried about my family and my generations, my grandkids and more, and what the America that I leave behind is going to be for them. I guess the social workers will become the next police department to tell you how to deal with being a victim, not justice. I will not tell people to deal with being a victim. I will tell Virginia citizens and all across America, we are not victims, we fight back. See, we got to do what we got to do. And it starts with getting these idiots out of office. It starts with getting the fear out of policy. It starts with us taking it inch by inch and saying exactly, if you were still letting this happen and not doing anything to stop it, it's time for you to go. Because you're saying no matter how hard we work, no matter how much we follow the law, it's going to be a different consequence for us where the criminals get to take over everything we work for any time frame they want to. Take our house any time frame they want to. Take our car anytime they want to. Take our life anytime they want to. I'll be damned to let that happen here in Virginia. Virginia's going to start taking the tone of leadership across the board. As you want to keep supporting those who would run and tuck tail each time frame, we're seeing it right now. Pay attention. Virginia, we are going to move forward, but we're going to move forward responsibly. But we will know that the message is clear. We do not negotiate with terrorists. We do not give up our freedoms or our history for them. We fight for Virginia, and we fight for it with our last measure of devotion. Because if we don't, you might as well apologize to your ancestors now because you don't have what it takes anymore. But it's time to get those who do. Because we fighting for Virginia. Because right now, we thought it wasn't going to be here in Virginia Beach, but it's going to be all across Virginia now because they already got the alarms being fired off that we had succeeded in part of our mission. Where's the end game? Because they ain't telling you. The reason why they ain't telling you because they're trying to delay and postpone the inevitable by weak leadership. Next thing you know, you might well get ready for being the handmaid's tale in Virginia and saying basically where our nation was born is where it died. And I'm saying right down to fellow patriots that are living alive and well, to those who want law and order, to those who no longer want to fear but act with reason for courage. It's time for you to elect a new governor. It's time to get those lawmakers out. And it's time for us to get Virginia back. My name is Merle Rutledge, and I'm running for 2021 governor of Virginia. And like I said, I am not running on fear. I'm running on making sure Virginia has the courage and the necessary leadership. Not what it wants, but exactly what it needs to make sure that Virginia will be alive and well, free from discrimination, free from racism, free from those who live through hypocrisy, free from the swamp that has enslaved us, and free from the cowards of leadership. And the only person to do that, and the only groups to do that, are the patriots that we have now. So instead of supporting the politicians who fund the patriots, instead of taking the knee on our own American flag, you stand up and you wave that flag and say, I'm giving it one more chance to get this right. And you fight inch by inch, mile by mile for exactly Virginia and Virginia families. Because that's exactly what I'm fighting for. Doesn't care about your background or ethnicity. I don't care about what has happened to you before, except for the fact I want what happened to you before to make you stronger today. Because Virginia and its families depend on it. Virginia and its businesses depend on it. Virginia and its leadership depends on it. We are American citizens, and Virginia citizens are always the first to be at the front lines. So now it's the time frame to check your heart and soul and ask, with conviction, are you ready to do what it takes? Because what it takes is for you to wake up and say, today is the last day you get an extra inch. Today is the last day you get an extra mile. Today is when we put the Patriots back, and we start that process now because we can't afford later. Time to reopen Virginia. Time to take Virginia back. And it's time to make sure Virginia is never put into the swamp like it has been put in this year. Because the cowards of leadership need to go. The Patriots are here to stay. And I'm Merle Rutledge, the 2021 Governor of Virginia, running for the Republican nomination, leading through courage, not through fear. And everybody here, have a good day. But be motivated to fight for our future.